Hey everyone, welcome to the Collector Chatter podcast. This is episode 28. I am your host, Miguel, with my co-host here, Charlie. Welcome back to another great episode here. We took a little bit of time off. Unfortunately, I got a little sick under the weather. And of course, we also had the Oscars recently. So this episode's pushed back a little bit for you guys, but we're excited because it's going to be jam-packed with a ton of news. So instead of just doing like an overall topic, today is just going to be strictly all about some news, some drops, kind of give you our thoughts of, what's going on in the Funko community in the last few weeks. There's been a ton of announcements and a bunch of stuff that we're excited for across the board on all different types of fandom. So we just kind of want to get right into it and just, talk about some of the stuff that we're excited about that within at least the last 2 weeks, because we've been gone for a little while. And right off the bat, we can just kind of start off with one of the big ones is Walmart is actually a pretty big player in like dropping a bunch of stuff recently. And one of them was their Collector Con. So they do their own little, Walmart con, kind of like Target does. And this time it was actually pretty jam packed with some stuff. I mean, I know a lot of stuff that we were, fans of. But right off the bat was the Spider-Man comic cover. I thought was awesome. Amazing.
I agree. Yeah. I think that's definitely one of I think that's going to be my favorite one that they've announced so far. I think it's better than the Superman one and the Batman one, which you can now finally, when available on Funko.com, it actually sold out really quickly. We were talking about, which is crazy. Excuse me. But this one I just really like. And I also love how we've been saying they've been trying to make it look like what the actual comic book cover is. And this is, Spider-Man is kind of, holding off, hanging from a web as he's kind of flying in the air. And that's exactly what the pop is doing. I think this one is awesome.
Yeah. It's a classic comic cover. So it's like cool that they actually did it. And that's kind of like what I felt like was happening in the very beginning when the Superman one came out, and then you saw the Batman one, and it was like, wow, this is going to be pretty cool. And then it seems like they're kind of now doing just random comics, first appearance, whatever it may be. But this one for sure, I think is super cool. If you're a Spider-Man fan, it's definitely one that I think a lot of people are going to want to get. It's interesting that, it's a Walmart exclusive. So we'll see kind of how that goes when that drops. But also we had a Jurassic Park like moment, Claire with Flair, which is her like running with the flare, from the movie, which it's interesting. I mean, Funko seems to like really love Jurassic Park, and like they do, especially like the newer Jurassic Park movies. It seems like they kind of do a lot of their like moments and things from that it's movie.
Funny.
But
one thing I heard a lot of people complain about this one is like the scale that the dinosaur is basically exactly the same size as Claire, which I wouldn't have thought of that when I first looked at the pop, but like everyone's totally right by making that complaint. They should have just made the dinosaur a little bit bigger, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, even if you're going to shrink it down, it doesn't have to be perfect to scale, but
exactly, it shouldn't be the same size
thing chasing it. Yeah, exactly.
Like I know at one point they came out with a 2-pack that was exclusive to like a Jurassic Park like museum like tour that was happening at one point, and it had I don't know if you've heard of this. It's kind of super interesting. It had like a special Jurassic Park sticker on it. It came with a T-Rex pop, and it came with Blue the Raptor, and people were like, this 2-pack looks so dumb because the T-Rex is exactly the same size as the Raptor. It's just funny when you think about that with like the dinosaur Funko Pops.
Yeah, you probably don't usually like think of like the scale when they do things like that, because it's usually probably 2 pops, 2 people or whatever. So it is interesting when it's like, if it's a creature like that, it should be bigger. Like I feel like the only time I see that happen is when it's like rides or something, where obviously the pop is an exaggerated size compared to the car. Like I know we talked about the Selena Kyle motorcycle one, and it's like super tiny, and then she has like a huge head, and it just like looks off. So, but I guess with this, it just makes sense. Like, it is a little weird that was something. There was also a album that dropped. So we spoke about this one, the Jimi Hendrix pop album. So we saw that one was rumored to come out, and it's part of this Walmart con. It's like a yellow background. So obviously Jimi Hendrix, they make a ton of pops of him, but they haven't made a pop album yet. So it is kind of cool that they at least do a pop album for him. And there was a few music. There was a Willie Nelson Pop as well.
Yeah,
That's
which is
part of
that the
their part
first
of
Willie
that.
Nelson Pop?
I think there is one already because when I saw this, I actually thought it already existed, but I don't know if maybe I'm confusing them with somebody else. But
I thought it did too. And then I like looked in the Funko app and I couldn't find another one. But it's
so it might
weird.
be.
It had this image. Like now I feel like Funko's done a pretty good job of updating their app pretty quickly once things are announced with like the
Yeah.
actual like image of what the Funko Pop will look like. It was concept art for Willie Nelson. So part of me is like, has this been in here and they didn't know when it was being released? And it's decided to include it in the Walmart kind of like I thought it was kind of weird. Like not weird, like it's a
Yeah,
cool
it is
pop, but
weird.
it's super random.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like one that like when you see some of the obscure music, people that they make, like it would make sense they would make a Willie Nelson if they haven't already. So I
Oh, I
mean,
agree to
I could
that.
have swore I thought there was one.
Me
I
too.
thought there
But then
was
when I
one,
found
but
out
I
there
guess
wasn't, I
maybe
was like,
not.
oh, interesting.
I could be confusing and don't like butcher me in the comments because I know by no means are their music talents the same, but I think maybe because of the bandana and all that kind of look, I'm thinking of Brett Michaels being a pop, and I know that exists, and I think I confused maybe the mold
Okay.
with Willie Nelson. And like I said, I know they're nowhere near the same, but but I think maybe that's what kind of crossed my mind when I thought of like, do they already have this mold? Just because of just the way it looked. But then we also have King George. So that's of course extending the line for the
Yeah,
Hamilton, right? That's
Hamilton.
the Hamilton
Yeah,
Pops.
which is interesting because all this is a different pose. Like it's another.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't they have one already of him?
They already do, and it came out with this line. Like I don't know. I've said in past before, like I'm a pretty big fan of Hamilton. I do have all of the pops, but like they haven't made one perfect example of like um his son, like Hamilton's son, who's like a main character in the play. And he's played by Anthony Ramos, who's a really up and coming actor. And it's
Yeah,
just like, why haven't they made one of him and they just made two of King George, even though he's one of the best parts of the show, in my opinion. But
yeah.
it's random that it just, once again, this goes with like Funko. We say it all the time, but like it's kind of like a lazy exclusive, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It probably didn't necessarily need to be made, and it's kind of just thrown into this bunch of a couple other ones. So that was one of the ones I wasn't maybe as excited for, but one that I was for sure. And we have hinted towards this in the past is the Godfather. So this is
Oh
now,
yeah.
at first I was confused by this, but it's actually the Godfather VHS cover. So we've spoken about two new lines that Funko is bringing along, similar to the pop albums, similar to the comic covers, and that is with like movies now. And one of them is the movie posters, which I know we said Jurassic Park was one of the ones that was officially kind of the first one where it was going to be a really big poster. It's enormous. Like we talked about how the size was going to be so big, but now this is a VHS cover, which previously all the VHS covers that we've seen have been Disney related. And I know when we saw all the Disney ones that were announced, we were kind of wondering, are these all going to be straight just Disney movies? Because you can kind of fit Disney
Yep.
VHS and like make that like a thing, right? Like a nostalgic thing. But it's not. It's actually, this is number 2 now showing up in the line under VHS covers. It is a sick one. Obviously, it's the Godfather,
awesome.
Poster, of course, going on. So it's like, it's really cool. But what are your thoughts like on it? And this is another one of those really cool ones that now has a sticker, because I know you had an issue with the other ones having stickers. Like
Well,
this is an Walmart one now.
Walmart.
So
My first reaction is it's awesome. I'm definitely getting it. But I don't like how it's part of the VHS Disney line. I think that should have been a line itself. And I know we've talked about lines before, and there's just way too many of them to have immediately created this line and then just throw the Godfather in there. And I
yeah,
also
that's weird.
think it's like you just mentioned it, the nostalgic factor of like the Disney VHS covers. You remember those, and like they're so iconic, and you remember that as a VHS, from your childhood, where the Godfather being in a VHS line like just makes no sense. Like it should have just been like, they should have just made it a movie poster line and called it a day, and not have made
Yeah.
the actual movie posters. Now that I'm seeing that they're doing this, I like that they're making the smaller ones now, not so I don't have to be like, I can only get like 2 of these huge
Yeah.
movie posters to hang. The thing that's going to be really interesting to me is there's rumors, which we'll talk about later, that the Star Wars ones may be coming out, or the like a New Hope during
Yeah.
Celebration. I'm curious what that's going to be. If that's going to be the huge one, or if it's going to be a VHS cover.
Yeah. It is weird. And to go back to what you said about the whole Disney thing, is like, I totally agree. It doesn't mean that Disney's the only thing that was in VHS, and obviously
Exactly.
no. But when I think of Godfather, I don't necessarily think of a VHS tape. Obviously, it came out of VHS, I'm sure, at some point, but it's not just like what I think of when you think of like that poster. You think of it as a poster, if anything, besides the movie, obviously. So like, I originally, when I just saw the Glam Shot Quick, I was like, oh, sick. They're coming out with another movie poster in that line. But then I started looking into it and I realized, I was like, no, it's a VHS cover. It's technically under the VHS line, which is cooler because it's smaller, which we obviously like because it's not enormous like the poster line. But I just don't see it fitting into this. But I guess that just means the VHS line is probably going to be enormous. And maybe the poster line will be the one that's very limited. And like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll do it kind of like with the pop albums where they have the deluxe, but they only, I think as of now, maybe come out with like 5.
That's probably a
versus, like,
great example.
20 of the
It's probably what
regular
it's going to
albums.
be. I
Yeah.
it's bothering me that it's called VHS, because like there's no difference than a DVD cover or a Blu-ray cover.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like really weird to say it. Like now I'm curious, like, is this
It could have just been movie cover. It
exactly?
could have been movie cover.
Because then
instead
they're
of movie
kind of
poster,
like telling us that it's only going to be like older classic movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's not like
Which
we
is,
can get a
yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home one, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's never being released on VHS. So I think
Yeah.
they unless that is the plan, it's just older movies. But to go off of the Godfather, one thing I really like is how it is matching the the poster in the background, and I like how the pop is like black and white. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, it is cool. This pop exists, I believe, though, right? There's single. I don't know if it's the same exact pose, but he
Yeah.
exists, and
But I don't
and the
think
Godfather line.
But I don't think it's black and white.
Okay, yeah, maybe not,
Yeah.
but I think there's like
There
3
is.
of them in that
Yeah,
line or something
there
that
is,
do
there
exist,
is.
older ones.
There's
So I mean, it is cool.
pop,
Yeah, it's cool to get it back, and now we're actually getting more in that, like, to represent that movie, because it's obviously a great movie. But then, like, the last thing I saw, there was a Hulk Hogan pin as well that's dropping during this. So a pretty big, like,
there was also the
overall.
next the Mantis for the Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
Oh, yes, that's what it was.
Um,
Which is the second one. Was the first one Walmart exclusive? Is the whole set a
the
Walmart
whole set's
exclusive?
going to be Walmart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the first one was Peter, or
Yep.
Peter.
Cool.
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was thinking, like, Peter. Is that his name? Yeah, Peter. Cool. And then the second one, yeah, Mantis. So obviously there's 6, I think, right, that make up this little ship and everything. So I don't know. We talked about this before. We both kind of said it doesn't look like it's something that's going to be necessary, and especially being one of these build a block type things. But that was the majority of the Walmart Collector Con. There was also some exclusive Earth Day pops that dropped through Walmart as well, which were pretty cool. The boxes are interesting. I remember them. I always remember the Up pop when it came out, and
They normally were box lunch exclusives.
And it was box lunch, and then you got that like really cardboard brown looking like kind of box, which is pretty cool. But
it's
there was
supposedly made actually out of recycled material.
That's recycled material, yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, I could totally see that
it's
being a thing, and if it is, that makes sense. Obviously, if you're representing Earth Day, that would definitely be something pretty cool. And then we also had some more Funko Gold. So the Funko Gold continues to kind of grow little by little. We originally spoke about this line, and we thought maybe this line would die out and it would go, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
No,
Funko's dedicated a huge room in their like Hollywood store or whatever, strictly to Funko Gold, the throne and everything. They're really going heavy after the athletes, and they're sticking with the music. And like originally what was rappers is now getting some rock stars, I guess you could say, because we do have a Jimi Hendrix that had dropped already. But now we have Run DMC. So of course they already have the pop, so it makes sense that license is there. And there's a Slash one, which I thought was pretty cool,
Yeah, pretty
which
cool.
was 2 versions of him. And then on the sports side of things, we did have Justin Herbert and your boy
Zach
Zach Wilson.
Wilson, finally.
There you go. So you got
I'm
got
getting my
something.
first. I'm getting my first gold. I'm definitely getting that. And hopefully that means I'm assuming a pop is on its way.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's obviously a young upcoming quarterback. So is Herbert. I wouldn't put Wilson on the same level as Herbert right now. I'm sorry, but
that's
but
fair.
you know that they're coming from the same class or whatever. So that makes sense. But there is, I think, both sizes, right? The 5-inch and then the
and the 10
it's 12, I think. It's
12,
it's like a weirder size. Yeah, I think it's 12. I think it's 12 and 5. But yeah, they made both of them and the away and home, like they've been doing.
Have you noticed though, they're not consistent with like this drop? It looks like home and away are both like the same for both of the figures. Like the chasers are exactly the same for both sizes, but it hasn't been that way with other figures, I've noticed. Like,
so like the smaller and the bigger one, they have the same color as their common, and then the chase is the same.
I'm pretty sure like the Russell Wilson one was not that way. It was like reversed.
Yeah. I think a few of them were like that. Russell Wilson was a little trickier because they made a lot of they made an alternate version of him.
Yeah.
They made
which makes sense.
Pro Bowl version. Yeah, Seattle, even though he's not there anymore.
No more.
But I want to bring that up now that it kind of ties into him. And then the next thing I was going to say, sports related as well, is that the only thing that I know we went heavy in the paint with sports when we had our episode. If you guys didn't watch it, check out that episode. It was a great episode. A lot of people actually watched that episode. So obviously,
I think it's one of our best ones.
It's one of our best ones. I loved it. I always said the sports line was the most underrated line because I just think there's so much room to grow. And I think universally it's huge being a sports fan. But what I realized is the one thing that's tricky with sports is that players move and get traded. It happens. They get traded to different teams. They play for a different team. And obviously Funko has these molds and these things done in a certain amount of time. And then obviously if something happens, they're not assuming that someone's going to get traded or signed with a new team. So like, it's funny that I said Russell Wilson, because obviously now he's no longer the Seattle guy, which obviously Seattle was their big team.
Yep.
And him being the first Funko Pop ever in football line was him. Like, one, that means those pops are going to be crazy. They're probably going to be worth a lot of money because now they're older and he no longer plays with them. But it also means like now, like, do they stick with that license and make a Broncos version of him because now he's on the Broncos? Like, that got me thinking. And then it just makes you think, like, when a player changes, like, do you think that they should right away make a new version of him? Because they actually did it with Max, and we didn't think that was going to happen in baseball because all they had was the Nationals. He went to the Dodgers, but he was there for so fast they didn't create anything. Now he's on the Mets and they already have Mets pop. Like, do you think that's a market thing? You think that's like...
I think market's part of it, but it's weird. I mean, the market's there for the Dodgers.
LA,
so I think that's just a weird one. But part of me is like, did they just swap? They realize it's soon enough. Like the sports ones, here's what's easy. You could easily just change the hat and like plop it on another body.
Yeah, a little
that has that
job.
uniform. So
yeah.
It's just weird though what they decide and what they decide not to do. Like, I'm surprised we're just getting the Zach Wilson now, not last year. Like, they've normally been pretty good with like making the new quarterbacks from the draft class. And like whether Zach Wilson, say what you want about him, I mean, he was top pick. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah, one of the top picks for sure. Yeah.
So like, it's just weird. I'm just using that as an example. So like, I don't get how they decide to what they do and what they don't do. I mean, we're definitely going to get a Russell Wilson one on the Broncos, but we'll probably get the one and call it a day because he's not their boy anymore.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to go.
But now it's like, who are they really? That was like their star, I think, in all of sports for them. Yeah. Now it's like they don't really have anyone that's like worthy of like pumping out product for it.
Yeah, unless they go back to like OG players or something like they kind of do with like baseball and stuff. But that I wanted to transition into another sports line. And the reason why I brought it up as well is because it's funny because we talked about it on the sports line. I said I wanted this to be a line, and I'm telling you, Funko's listening to us because
I agree.
obviously not because of what I'm about to say, but the F1 line. So we finally got F1 racers. So I've been talking about this for a while. NASCAR does exist. It's a fairly kind of new line. They do have a bunch of different racers. We got to see finally a car ride version of Jeff Gordon, where he's like inside the car, which I think they all should come like that anyways, because that's what they're not just the person, like, you know them as their car and their number, and like, you know, the person tied with it. Same thing I think with the F1. So I think it's going to open up where now that they have that license and they're making them, that they should do with the race car. The better thing about an F1 car is that it's an open car where the head could stick out, versus with the NASCAR, it's like they're coming out of the roof. You know, obviously that's how the rides are. But I feel like it would just make more sense to be an F1 car, make it look cool, and have the driver in there. But what I found interesting, I don't know if you know too much about F1 racing, but the first two that were announced are from the Mercedes race team, and it's Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. But
It's already
the
outdated,
problem
right?
is, yeah, he's no longer with Mercedes. So it's funny though, because it's just this year. He was with them for a few years. So clearly that's why I was bringing it up, is that like they've obviously had this concept. They knew they were going to make it, but these guys have contracts. And unlike sports, you don't necessarily get traded like that quick. Like you have like a 3-year contract, whatever. And when it runs up, you either renew it or another team picks you up. So like his was obviously up. And as of sometime last year, we knew that he was going to be on a new team. So it makes me think like they've had these for a while,
which is crazy.
Like, yeah, and they didn't do a new paint job. They didn't.
Now,
do, like,
will
the
you
next guy.
get this, or will you be like, I don't want it because it's not on the team anymore?
So Lewis Hamilton for sure. He's my favorite racer anyway. So like I would get him like 100%.
Yep.
But I would probably get the Bottas one just because it's like, it's still the only other one. Like they're brand new. This is the line I think I could start to collect because it's brand new and try to get everybody. Now it makes me think like, what are they going to do next? They got to probably do the Red Bull racing team, the Ferrari. Those three teams are the most popular. And it just, I want them to do rides. Like they have to do rides. It makes the most sense, but it's one of those things now. It's like, well, now he's not even on that team. There's another guy, George Russell, who's actually the Mercedes driver. Cause I don't know if you know, like about F1, it's very limited.
Yeah, I know
there's
a
only,
little.
There's only
not
10
enough.
teams. Yeah, there's only 10 teams that race F1, and there's only 2 drivers per team. So essentially, there's only 20 guys that are the elite of everyone. That's all. Okay. It's like the most craziest sport where like it's such a limited number that are in that professional sport, right? So there's totally, they could do 20 drivers and have the whole current roster,
which is pretty
now
cool.
Obviously, yeah, that's cool. But there's obviously very famous, you know, racers. Schumacher is a very famous F1 racer that pretty much everyone knows about. Like people like that, they could still make them in pop form, which I'm assuming they will try to do if they get their licensing. But I'm interested in this line for sure. I'm very excited if you guys are F1 fans or anything like that. It's a cool line. I just thought it was interesting that they were the first one, which made sense because Mercedes wins a lot. But that one driver just happens to no longer be with them. So I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, I guess, you know,
it's funny though, not to keep talking about this, but I just find it to be an interesting topic. So in terms of, I'm pretty sure this happened with Odell with they came out with a Browns gold figure before.
Well, they have a pop of him in the Browns too.
The pop, but the gold figure was announced when he was already on the Rams. In my opinion, I would just, I don't know, like, I know it's probably wasting a lot of money, but like, why even release that? Do you like think that like he's not a, like, I don't see Browns fans going out there wanting to buy that at that point. And he's not like, if they made a Giants one, like Giants fans, I still think, you know, like him, like they would buy like an older like figure of him. But at that point, it's like, why are we releasing this when it really means nothing? His time there was a joke. Like no one is going to have fond memories of him there. And like, I'm curious how often that is going to happen in, you know, since
it might happen a lot. Yeah. Because I think what happens is that we touched upon this before in our sports episode is that whoever's running like the creation team and the people that are doing these things, like they're obviously not tapped into sports as much as we are even.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't know all that. It's kind of like, all right, who's hot? Who's the new guy? Oh, this is the big name and we'll make it, versus actually knowing the situation that they're in, where if you knew what was going on with Odell at that team, like you knew he wasn't going to probably be there long anyways. you wouldn't have made merchandise for them. Now, granted, obviously jerseys and stuff are going to be made no matter what.
Of course.
But like for this kind of thing, like, yeah, I think they could have went elsewhere. Like, I don't know, did they even make a Baker Mayfield one? Like, I mean, he would have made more sense because he was
I think they have a
with them.
Mayfield one.
They do. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was weird that they came out with that one, and it was after, like you said. But again, doesn't mean I get them not jumping on the let's make a Rams one, because maybe he's, as of right now, he's not even re-signed to the Rams. So it makes sense.
I bet
not
you
to go
they'll
right
make
after the new one.
And he's not even gonna. He's not. The Rams
That's
are
what
not
I'm saying. That's what they shouldn't do. Yeah,
I know, but I feel like they will.
Weird.
But yeah, it's a really interesting thing, which hopefully doesn't happen too often.
Yeah. Well, so I guess we'll see. So I think with sports, it's gonna happen a lot with like, yeah, people moving around and stuff, especially like football. So many people change teams this current year. So it's gonna be interesting to see if some of these pops change around and what they do. Then we also had some comedians. So a few more comedian pops were announced. I actually spoke about how I have the Joe Coy pop. Now there's like another version of him coming out. I think it's kind of weird because I love Joe Coy. I have actually one of the autographed ones. Came with like a t-shirt and stuff. But this line is so small and there's so many comedians and they're like just doubling. Like we've talked about how Fluffy, obviously, because he's another one. He had a stadium version of him with like two different baseball jerseys. They've already made like 4 or 5 different versions of him. Now there's 2 Joe Coys. I think there's like 2 Jeff Dunhams, I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's one other comedian. Yeah. And then that's it. There's only like 4 or 5 total actual individual comedians, but there's so many versions of each versus them like going out and like giving us more. There's so many more comedians that they could like, you know, throw in here, like, you know, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, like just to name a few, like
Chris
big
Rock.
names. Chris, so many guys that they that might be one now. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think it's kind of weird though. Like,
I think
why
it's
is this
super
line
weird.
like that?
I don't unless it's like, I feel like the comedians that they have made have a really, they either have like a gimmick or like a really distinctive look where it's like, if you were to make, I'll just throw out like Dave Chappelle. Okay. Like his pop would probably just be pretty plain, even though like I think he warrants one, but it's not like Fluffy, you know what he looks like, you know. With Dunham, he gets to have like the ventriloquist Dunham. Like puppet, I think like maybe that's what the deal is, and they just think their fan base will buy them. Like the Fluffy's getting out of control, but he must be,
he's
like,
obviously a huge like contract that they have. Like they know he reps him, he talks about it all the time. So
hardcore,
that's like,
and he's obviously must be a fan. But it's almost like the comedy line, which I know some of our fans are big, you know, collectors of it, but it's a really missed opportunity that they're just not making anything of. And I don't know if it's because it's also like, it's just like, maybe people don't want them. I said this with the sports ones, and now I've changed my opinion a little bit. It's like, do you just want like an action collectible / figure of a person? Like,
there are people in like pretty big names out there who will actually say it, that they're not big people pop fans, like in general. Like they just don't collect normal people pops, which I get it. I mean, I get it's a little weird to like it's an actual person. It's not a character. It's not a, you know, a superhero. It's not animated, nothing like that. It's an actual person, and it's their, you know, it's of them. So like, I mean, I understand that, but I think there's a big enough fan base, especially with like comedians. Like generally, if you're a fan of comedy or, you know, comedians, you're not only a fan of one comedian. You're usually
I agree.
Fan of a few comedians.
But I even look about like, I've said in the past, like I really like the director's line, and I just recently, I know you got it too, like got my Jordan Peele pop, and like if I took that out of the box and kind of just like put it on a shelf, if you're not a Jordan Peele fan, you probably wouldn't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Where I think that goes along with the same line as like, they're just, the comedians are trying to figure out how you can make it like stand out as a collectible or as a showpiece. That's, I really think that's just what it is.
It makes sense. I think that with some people, like you said, it might be a little tough to be like, well, that's, you know, not just comedian A, that's a very specific one. That's why, like, off the top of my head, when I was like, how they did not have certain ones, I said Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy, like, is, Raw and Delirious are famously known for his suits that he wore in those stand-ups. Like, you do
That's
that,
true.
it's him. But I understand, like, someone like Dave Chappelle, huge, but yeah, he was more of a plain dresser. He's not doing anything super crazy. So like that might be a tougher sell on, like, unless you're a diehard fan, which I think there are enough that would still get it. Maybe that's why Funko's just kind of like slow
One
on it.
thing though, I think they should be doing, and it's just easy and it can appease fans. Like I'll use like Aziz Ansari. He has a Funko Pop for Parks and Rec. Just make that into like his comedy version, like change it around a little, and there
That's
you
true.
go. Like I think they could do that more often, and or just test it out and see how it works. Like even Jerry Seinfeld, like I know he plays like an exaggerated version of himself in Seinfeld, but like that's the character from the show. If they wanted, they could just make like a Jerry Seinfeld stand-up pop. Like when you think about it, like why don't he should be in that line?
Yeah, which is kind of funny that there are actually, when you think of it that way, there are more comedian pops that exist. They're just in their character, or they're in like something like, even SNL has some pops.
Oh
Andy
yeah,
Samberg has a pop, and it's character, obviously. It's a 2-pack with him and Justin Timberlake. And like I actually have that one. It's funny, but that you don't think about that, like, yeah, their character or them from but like the Seinfeld one is almost more obvious, because obviously it's like literally, like you said, it's him, it's his name and everything. So like that could totally translate over. But yeah, like they do that, so why not? I guess they're just riding the coattails of the show and feeling like, well, the show is so popular, or the character, like that. And that's the only reason.
But if you're in which most of the community is like in-box collectors, it's like you would like to see the Jerry Seinfeld one where it's his stand-up version. Like Funko, you start listening to our podcast, we'll give you some good ideas, because that's one of them, and it's easy for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, like, I guess adding like a microphone is cool, depending on like if the person who uses a mic stand, or if they just hold their mic, they can easily do that. But that would be something that would definitely, for sure. And what else we had? We had some other.
We had a pretty big soda drop that we didn't talk about. It's now a little bit, we've obviously been away for a little bit. But it was an interesting line. I know we were saying we didn't love it, but there's 2 in it that are awesome. So the Star Wars line is continuing to grow. They announced Darth Vader and a Stormtrooper one. It's blowing my mind that they like announced these before Celebration. I think it was a strange move, but I would only assume hopefully we keep getting more. But what I will say is, and I think you disagree with me on this, is the Star Wars chases have been extremely weak. The Vader one is just, I think he's glow in the dark, and then the Stormtrooper one is metallic. The Vader one, in my opinion, should have been, you could have done something with his helmet, whether it has him with his no helmet, like from Return of the Jedi, which they have in a pop. Like I would have been totally satisfied with that. Or like an Anakin Skywalker one as a chase. And then the Stormtrooper one, and I know the Darth Vader one is asking a lot. I know it's a new mold. We go back and forth. Like Funko probably just doesn't want to put that much effort into it. The Stormtrooper one, all you gotta do is change a helmet. Legitimately, they do that all the time by changing heads, and it becomes a different like trooper. You even could have just like, I don't know. I don't, with such a huge fandom that people have been like dying for these sodas. I know that people who only care about the money are going to want the chases anyway. But as a huge fan who I collect just because I love to collect, I don't care about, how much they're worth or making a buck. None of the chases are like, I need to get them, besides probably the Boba Fett one. In my opinion.
Yeah. And I, so like me, obviously, the way I collect is when I do sodas, I always get 2, because I try to get 1 and 1. But I'm the kind of person that if I just pull 2 commons, I'm not going to go crazy and go after the chase. So none of these are also giving me the like, I gotta go after the chase. Like I'll be happy with either one. But like we said before, the first 2 that were announced were the Boba Fett and the Luke. And then now we're getting Darth Vader and the Stormtrooper, which is funny because we said that Darth Vader should have been the first one announced. And obviously it was not too far later that it came out. And obviously with sodas, they're not numbered. So it's not like it's the first in the wave, second. So I guess they don't really care as long as they're dropping them regardless. But I'm glad that they have one because it makes the most sense, in my opinion, to lend perfectly to a soda. So like, I like the way that all the molds look. I even
Yes.
like the way the chases look. I do understand your point, and I agree that like they could have done something different. They are lazy in a sense of like they just didn't change too much. But like I like the glow look on the Vader. I think it looks super cool. Could there have been a better chase? Yeah, for sure. Same thing with the Stormtrooper. Like the metallic look is probably gonna look really cool, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, why would it have been metallic? It's not like, you know, they're white. Like, they don't really need to be metallic. And like you said, there could have been a different helmet. It could have been something completely different. But yeah, I mean, Funko overall, especially with these, I believe all four of them are pretty high piece counts. So they're
Yep.
not really limited. And I think that when they generally drop 15K plus like sodas, those are usually the ones that are pretty lazy because they're probably just mass producing them and just getting the most, you know, popular people
Which is
into a
fair.
soda, and that's probably what they're doing. So like that's probably the reason. It kind of upsets me because out of all four of them already, not one of them is like wow. Because even the Boba Fett one, like
It's
being
not wow. You're
prototype,
right.
like
It's not
it's
wow.
like whatever. But it now makes you think like, are any of the Star Wars ones going to be wow? Because if they've already dropped four, and like we know we're probably going to get a Mandalorian one, but like what's it going to be? Like it's probably going to be very lazy. Maybe it's going to be Chrome. That's
Which it's
probably what they're
funny.
going to do, you know, something like that, right?
You're right, but and that's probably what they will do, but what they should do, and they've done in the past, so we can't say they don't do something like that. I think the Mandalorian one should copy what they did for Iron Man. You have him in his full suit, and then the chase is him without his helmet on.
Yeah.
Super easy to
It
do.
should. It should,
Like
yeah.
that's what they should do. And like, not to always talk about this, I still don't understand. Like, if you guys haven't seen Miggs's video where he pulls the when he's opening the Carl sodas from Up,
Yeah.
whether you're familiar with them, that like that one is such an awesome chase and common, but like it didn't need to be that awesome. If I'm being honest, they could have just like did a different mold of him looking old. Like, why did they
Yeah.
just
Majority of
decide?
the movie is him as old. So you would
Yeah,
think they could have just
like
done
it
something.
could have
Yeah.
been him with dog. Like it's just like it's just it's just weird to me. And I know I always go off on this. I just don't understand because sometimes it's like I get if they're lazy, they're just mass producing these. It's a business, but they decide to make some so awesome for no reason. If that
Yeah.
makes
Vince
sense,
Clortho.
like
Look at the Vince Clortho one.
exactly, like that's a
The Terror
random
Dog.
one. Like it's super cool, and I get that's like what all of them should be like. But out of all the sodas you make, like you decide to make that one like one of your coolest ones.
That's what's weird, yeah. And it's not the line because obviously there's already two other Ghostbusters ones that exist. Well, the Stay Puft as well, but the two actual Ghostbuster guys and all their chases is just them with slime,
Slime.
where it's like, all right, that's cool, but like, is it really
Yeah,
that cool? So like, they obviously can still do this. It's just it makes you think like, who are the people that one come up with the idea of what's the common and chase, and two, who are the people okaying it, or like, you know, where's this process that it has to pass through
yeah,
before it actually gets made into a mold, because it doesn't seem consistent. And not
at
that
all.
they can't make lazy ones. Like, obviously they're allowed to do that totally, but like
Totally, I
the
agree.
inconsistency is just what's weird on
I
like
think
some
part of the
being
problem
authentic
is
and some not.
I probably wouldn't be complaining about this if they all were what we call lazy. Like if the chases
Yeah.
always just were a metallic, a glow, a flocked, like you wouldn't even think I wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
They've
They would
now
have just
like
been the only thing that exists. Yeah.
they've now decided to like throw in all these other cool ones. But they even do this with the pops too. It's strange. Like
Yeah.
I think recently, like some of the chases for at least my interest in Marvel and Star Wars have been amazing. But they're not always that way. Sometimes even back in the day when they first were doing chases of like the DC characters, the chase was metallic. Like
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
ooh, like, but I mean,
And it's so crazy because those are like the most expensive,
I
crazy
know
OG pops at those. And that's all
it's
it was, just
crazy.
metallic.
But a lot of fans, I mean, comment it, like, let us know in the comments. But like, maybe some people do just like love that type of variant. It's just whether it's metallic or glow, like some people just love it. Like, I don't think that's special anymore with what
Yeah.
Funko does. Like,
I
it's
think
just,
because it's also getting so popular, we're big fans of sodas. Like, we know that they can do that. So it's like they're kind of giving us a taste of it and then they don't do it all the time. I think that's probably what really, because if someone was brand new getting sodas, they may not feel so strongly about this. Whereas like I'm a person who I need to update, but I think I probably have over 200 sodas. I'm not even kidding. Like I have so many sodas now. And because I have so many, I know the ones that are like lazy or the ones that are super
Yeah.
sick and and it's not even just mold thing. It's also like paint jobs. And I say this because and I get it. Some of the older ones, obviously they get better over time, but some of the old like horror bloody chases are like blops of blood. And then the number 5 chase, the splatter on that blood is sick. Like
Okay.
it's night and day compared to like some of these, like the Leatherface one. Like the difference is insane. And like I get it, the Leatherface one is older, but like it just shows you that they can make these things a lot better and more detailed and stuff. So it's interesting. But there was obviously more sodas as well. There was a Jetsons one that was announced in
Yep,
that
a
wave.
Jetsons
The
one.
rest of the
Another.
wave I wasn't a big fan of. What
Yeah.
else there was?
There's a Paul Frank, which is like the monkey sock, which I'm assuming is part of like their ad icons. There's another Killer Clown, which they've been like growing that line. Not for me. There was, I think, another Samurai Jack that continue that line. I don't collect any of those. There's maybe another Cowboy Bebop one.
Yeah,
There's
some kind of anime.
Yeah, which that line is not terrible. I think I like that it's at least more of a, it's like a cult anime. It's not like mainstream anymore. I think those were the main ones. It wasn't that great of a.
Yeah, it wasn't that big of a wave. I think it was like maybe
wave.
6 or
It
so
was really
of
the
them.
Star Wars.
The Star Wars ones were definitely the biggest ones. I don't know if we had talked about this before because it's been a little bit, but the Stone Cold Steve Austin soda officially dropped too, and the chase of him with the belt. So that one's
it's
cool
so
one.
interesting you bring that one up. I'm surprised. Like, I know you're not the biggest pre-order person, but normally when these sodas drop on GameStop, even non-exclusives, like they pretty much sell out the pre-orders almost immediately. You can still go get that one right now.
Really?
I'm
I thought that would be a popular one.
Yeah, it's definitely not, which I find interesting.
It's actually very interesting. I've been like thinking about this a lot with sodas because obviously they're all limited to a certain piece count. And we all know that like pre-orders come out and it's usually major retailers, GameStop and like
Entertainment Earth,
Hot Topic, Box Lunch, and Entertainment Earth is a huge one that'll always do it. And then even some of these smaller ones, Spastic Collectibles, Popping Off Toys, like places like that, they'll allow you to pre-order. And then they drop, and Funko will get its allotment, obviously, directly through Funko, and they drop them. And then the main retailers drop theirs. And then these side people, like I get through I Want This Stuff and Gemini Collectibles and places like that. And like every once in a while, you'll see some OG ones pop up that are still sealed sodas. You'll see some new ones. And I'm starting to think, like, when are they going to start to run out? Like, when is it going to be where you
all the
don't
time.
see a soda that supposedly is limited to a number? And I've been questioning it a lot lately because now like I'm caught up on all the newer ones. So I'll go on a site and I'll see a bunch that are still up. And I'm like, do people just not know that this site exists? Do people not buy these sodas anymore? Like, how are they still have these? And I used to say that with Funko with those luchador sodas because they were up there forever. And still to this day, there's one that still is up on there, which obviously people aren't buying. But even 15,000, 10,000, 12,000, it's not that big of a number. Like eventually those have to
agree.
sell.
And then part of me is just like, we've gone back and forth. Like sodas are like the new thing. And I know there's some YouTubers who are like, no, I don't buy into the soda hype. And then I do think about the numbers, and right, you can still get, like, if you dig hard enough, you can find almost every soda you want somewhere on some sort of retail website. You don't even need to go to the eBays or the whatnots of the world. And it makes me feel like they don't sound like a lot, but that must really be a lot, or people just aren't getting them.
Yeah, it's gotta be one or the other. But I found it interesting because I'm like certain ones like just popping up. Like,
do you ever think that the limited, like, I don't think I do believe this, but sometimes I'm like, do you think the number's made up? or not totally
I mean,
true?
there's no way of knowing, obviously. I
No,
don't
I
think
know,
so.
but
I think it is probably. I don't know, man. I think
here's
it's
why
one of two
sometimes I
things.
don't think it's true. And I hate to say this. I'm a hardcore hater of international sodas. Like, I think I
Yeah.
only have a handful in my collection. It was just because like it was what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't like the fact that they're exactly the same. And like, I know people have talked about this before, but like they have a piece count. We have
Yeah.
a piece count in the States. No other Funko Pop is like that. We slap a different sticker on it, but no one is ever calling anything. Funko always does call out when it is like a certain piece count on a pop, like it's on the
Mhm.
sticker. So like you don't care about that sort of thing. I know a lot of people are really into sodas because they do think they are. We know these are only 10,000 made,
Mhm.
but it actually isn't true
Yeah.
because
Well, with some
it's almost like the
more
can is the
recent than
more collectible or the pog than the actual figure in a weird way.
well, yeah, because the can and the pocket are the only things that change with international cans. But so international cans weren't a thing in the beginning. Obviously, the first
Yep.
few waves didn't exist. You could only get those here in the US. And then now they're become a thing. And as of what I hear, they're going to stop doing that. And they're
Yep.
no
I've heard
longer
that
going to do
too.
international as well. So it is interesting because that does mean that there's more obviously that exists. Now, it also doesn't mean that if your can, like I'm looking at one right now, is 10,000 piece and there's an existing international one that is 7,000 piece, it doesn't mean that that 10,000 piece is telling you there's literally only 10,000 pieces that exist. It just means that there's only 10,000 US versions.
No,
It
yes.
doesn't say 17,000 and then 10,000 are given to us and 7,000 over there, which I would have thought that would make more sense, but it's not. They're two separate, counts. But the only thing that made me question it is, and it also happened with Pops, is that when things sell out, obviously through Funko specifically, that there's still a backup because it happened with me with the diecast Wonder Woman.
Yep.
I had a demolished one and decapitated came in and it was all demolished. I hit up Funko. This thing sold out, obviously, at some point. Hit up Funko and they sent me one immediately, which clearly meant that they had stock of it, right? Now, that's not a numbered piece, but it's sold out, even though eventually it restocks because they clearly do make more. But it literally just happened with me with a soda. So the Sorcerer Mickey soda, I ordered two of, and they only sent me one. Now, granted, they only sent me one, so clearly there's another one out there. But in the terms of Funko, that soda was sold out as well, no longer up on their site. And when I told them, hey, I was missing this one, whatever, they sent me one right away as well. Now that's a numbered piece, which means that are they only posting less so that they could sell out and build the hype and then restock them? Or is the number false? Like that's the question that we got to figure out. I think it's that they just don't post everything that they have.
I
But
do think
then
that's true
again,
too.
yeah, but then again, they're giving it to other sites as well. So like it's just weird because to
Well,
me, with the amount of people that sell sodas, I just don't feel like 10, 15, 14, 12,000 is a big number. It doesn't feel like it's that big of a number to me.
I agree with you. The only other thing too about the whole stock thing is like also if any of you have ever been to either the store in Everett or in Hollywood, it seems to be like when I see pictures of this and like I can't wait to go to one of them one day, is that store is always pretty stocked. Like whether it's for, I mean, the Hollywood one is obviously a tourist attraction as well. Like when you're going to that store, you're probably going to find something you want. And sometimes I'm like, do they just have a huge selection that they're keeping within for their retail spaces? And then when something like what happens to you happened, they know in their computer, like, oh, we can just go snag one of these from,
Yeah.
our store.
Yeah. That
Because I'm
could be what
actually
it is.
shocked at how much like that. Like if you were to just go walk into a Target, it's like, I know Target maybe is a bad example, but it's like nothing's really there. It's always like the slim pickings of like the garbage no one wants.
Yeah.
You can go into, it seems like the Funko HQ stores, and like you have an amazing selection of stuff that you're never going to find just walking into any other retail store, from what I've seen.
Yeah. I mean,
Which makes
I don't
sense.
want to keep going off on a tangent on this, but with sodas is a little different because obviously they are technically numbered. With pops, I feel like it's such an open thing because to this day, you can also go to the Funko Europe site and all Funko Shop exclusive stuff that we don't no longer have is still up on sale over there. So like clearly they have a lot more than they sell us.
Yeah, but here's what's also crazy. Like I want to mention this though too, because I know I'll shout out to our friend Jeremy from New and Old Funko Pop Unboxings. He happened to get to go to one of the stores when he was out on business, and I remember it was around the holiday time, and when all the holiday sodas were all sold out on the website and people couldn't get them, they had some there and they were putting them on clearance to get rid of them because they were in holidays. But like I wanted some of those at that point still, and like they were sold out. Like, so it's super, and like we're talking about like limited piece now. This is a soda, not a pop. Like it's just strange.
It is weird. It's weird when you start to think about it. But yeah, interesting for sure. We also have, to switch gears real quick, I did want to bring this up, a lot of NFT news. So we've been big NFT people and lovers, and obviously Charlie, a very, very big NFT guy. When it comes to the drops, we pretty much hit them all, especially Charlie. I've kind of picked and choose here and there. As of now, we still have the streak going where we've pulled redeemables.
Yep.
You've pretty much pulled on almost every single one. You missed on one, but I was able to get one on that one. And then you just pulled redeemable on the Transformers.
Yeah.
Which was our most recent drop, was a Transformers one. So first I wanted to get into that because that was obviously the one that just passed. And you actually pulled two redeemables, right?
I pulled two redeemables of the same one, which is of Devastator, it's just so funny. If you if you're into the NFTs, like I definitely recommend, like you probably already have done this, but you have like the Token Head app on your phone, and like you do see how the market fluctuates. And like this one that I happen to get, it's a legendary, not the Grail, but it seems to be every set now has like a legendary one that seems to be like the cream of the crop. It just sets itself apart. Like Nickelodeon has had it, Star Trek has had, like, it's just even crazy. Like I have the Spock Grail, which is just like, it's going crazy right now. So it's like, it's kind of annoying. I pulled two of the same, but I'm kind of keeping it in my inventory to like trade for something that I want, because the community is becoming really big with just even the Funko NFTs, and like there's groups, whether on social media, Discord, and like, people are all about trading, and it's become pretty fun. And then you can obviously do it then officially on Atomic Hub, where people can send people trades, and you can also just buy them off there. But I'm happy that I've kept the streak alive, and the redeemables, they keep seeming to, like, as the NFTs are becoming more and more popular, obviously there's not like a hidden secret anymore, in my opinion, in the Funko community. And it's what started with Nickelodeon. I feel like there's way more redeemables. Like there's like 6, I think, and it seems like they continue that with Transformers, and that's also happening. Hopefully, I didn't get to open up my Scooby-Doo cards yet. That was the last drop, but we'll see. They have the same amount too, but that one also has a soda, which is pretty. I know people are pretty pumped.
Second
about
time,
that.
right?
Second time. There's only been the one soda with the Freddy Funko. I'm surprised they haven't had more, like maybe a soda in every drop. But I feel like that makes them even more desirable because there's not as many.
I think one a drop would be kind of cool, or maybe every other one. But it is interesting. There's only the second one that they dropped soda, which was like he just was the latest one, like we just said this past Tuesday, which was the Scooby-Doo NFT. So that's the latest one. Previously was a Transformer. So we're getting a lot more bigger like brands, and we talked about this before, where we're like, where are they going to go with this? Like, are they going to be able to get licensing to do these bigger brands? And we got some sick news because they now have the WB license specifically to do NFTs, and I believe Scooby-Doo is actually under WB, right?
The first one in the license.
That was the first one that they announced, and with that announcement, people kind of got excited because we were talking about in the past how everything was kind of under an umbrella. it was like the Nickelodeon ones came out, and then before that,
The Star
the
Trek
retro
ones.
toys and
Yep.
Star Trek. They were all kind of under their own little umbrella, and we're like, well, where are they going to go into DC, or when are they going to go into Marvel? And I didn't even think about WB, which would be even a bigger, which
Yep.
covers DC, obviously. So one that was specifically in the blog was obviously the Scooby-Doo is going to be coming out, was Batman. And they said it specifically because I'm sure that's, if not the next line, it's going to be soon.
Yeah,
and that's the one I think that's going to explode. Because I'm very excited for that one. The Scooby-Doo one, it was pretty cool. I didn't find the redeemables to be as like eye-catching for me personally, but they look pretty sick. I like that there's a soda involved in there. But when it comes to like the Batman one, whenever we see that and what's going to be coming out, I'm going to probably go nuts for that because that's going to be sick. I can't even imagine. Now, the only thing is like, I'm feeling there's going to be an anime. It's going to be the animated Batman series, probably the animated series. I don't know if they'll do the movie. I guess it depends, but I don't know.
So
comic style, like, what do you think they're going to do? I don't think they're going to mix it. They're going to probably pick one and go with that line.
What I think they're going to do is it's going to be just like their generic, like the OG DC Pops, in my opinion. So I guess comic book style. I don't think I actually think it'd be awesome if they mixed it all up. You're probably right. They probably won't do it, but if
I don't think they would
everything, but like I feel like they kind of have to. If I'm now like thinking out loud about it, it's like based off of,
well, it depends if they wanted to just do Batman or Batman characters. Because if they just do Batman, then they could go all over the place. But if they're gonna do like multiple characters, I don't think they're gonna do like a movie version and then like a, like an animated. Like I think that would be a little too. So I feel like they're gonna choose one and then maybe do multiple characters.
Yeah. So my vote,
because like I could see obviously like. Yeah, it's probably gonna be like an OG like comic style then, if anything, and then maybe do like Freddy as Batman or something like that.
Like I think if they do the animated series as the first one, not that I wouldn't love it, I think that's like not the right way to launch off the Batman NFTs.
Yeah,
I personally think it should just be. I would have done DC, even though like Batman or Superman would be my favorite. But you're really limiting yourself, in my opinion, because
it's true. It could be DC. They said Batman specifically in the thing, like, but I don't know if they're just like Batman the character could be now because we have DC license,
Because what would you like to see as the redeemables? Because most of the redeemables so far for everything have been pretty unique. Like the Turtles one, they obviously reused characters. For the big boy, that had all new ones mostly, besides like the current the big boy icon. I'm just like trying to go through the list. Star Trek was blacklight, so they kind of did that. Iron Maiden was all pretty much original. The Transformers, basically every Transformer that pop they made is new, besides the grill as an Optimus Prime, but they like made him like gold.
The Nickelodeon one.
They're all basically new. So I don't see it just be like, it's gonna have to be something special. And I'm just trying to think, what haven't they like done already? Because Batman's as a big Batman collector, is pretty exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them doing like a completely different thing. I just think they're just the fact that they're gonna use that character, and I just see them like. Now, when it comes to the NFTs and the cards, obviously it's a bigger range. But like just strictly talking about redeemables, like you obviously got to get like a Batman one specifically. You probably got the Freddy version is probably going to be as Batman, I would assume, or maybe they do a cool side character and that you wouldn't think of as a Freddy, make it a little bit more rare. But then it depends if they're sticking with DC. Then obviously we maybe see a Superman, Wonder Woman. They love Wonder Woman.
If it's all DC, I think the sky's the limit. But with the Batman one, it just like I would like to get like random villains that we've never like gotten before, or something like that. I'm just thinking.
See, I wonder, like, who would they do? Like, obviously, like a cool villain is Scarecrow one is, but they pretty have made almost every pop. And like they've almost made every style or every villain in the pop almost in some form, whether it's the
Yeah,
comic
yeah,
or
they have.
animated. So I feel like they may duplicate, but as long as the mold's a little different, I'm just excited to see like what they're going to look like. And like you said, like what are these redeemables going to be? When does this drop? But either way, it's news that is going to be pretty exciting because NFTs are still sticking around and we're getting them every month. And we don't know if that's next. We just know that WB is
Yeah,
now the big
which
umbrella.
I think we'll probably get a bunch of WBs going forward, because I mean we'll get Harry Potter. There's no way there's not
Yep,
going to be a Harry Potter one. I feel like they paid
that's true.
big money for that license, and they're, for better or worse, like there's other licenses I still want to see them get, which I think they're probably working on right now as we speak. But I do think probably the next big batches are going to be WB properties, which one will
Yeah, I
probably
would
be
say that.
Looney Tunes, I would assume.
Yeah, I was gonna say Looney Tunes, Harry Potter, anything DC
Yeah,
somewhat related. Cartoon Network's probably gonna
we'll
be in
definitely
there.
get a Cartoon Network one.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we already have those pops, so like that makes sense. So those will probably be like the next big ones. I guess let us know what you guys think, and if you're excited for these because it's definitely gonna be something that's gonna be pretty sweet for sure. And then I want to get into Star Wars Celebration because I know that was a
One more
big
NFT thing though.
drop.
I want to talk about, like, what did you think? People now actually have the first redeemables in
Oh
their
yeah, yeah,
hands.
yeah.
So like the TMT ones
Yes.
have come, and the big boy. Like what have you thought? Like seeing the pictures. First, real quick, like I think the boxes are amazing.
So I agree. I think the boxes are sweet. I think the way they looked in the picture kind of translated to essentially what they look. I think the glam shots of the pops versus what they look like now in real life is a little off on some of them, but I get it because the whole concept of it was that it's supposed to kind of resemble a like somewhat moving digital
Yeah,
picture. So specifically with the NFT cards on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they looked like that. Now, like Star Trek, those are blacklight. So like when they come out, they're gonna probably just be regular blacklight pops and
yeah.
they'll translate the same way. I just think that the specific Ninja Turtle line was very like the color was already a little weird that they had to stay with that in the pop. So I could see why some people don't like that, like the way they look. But I think they're sick. I mean, either way, I think it's exciting. They haven't dropped the soda one yet because that's next, I think, right? The Halloween one is
Yep.
going to come out now where you're going to be able to redeem it pretty soon. And I don't know if I like the way, based off the glam shot, the way that soda can looks. I want to see what that looks like in real life. It looks
Life.
super like, I don't know, like cheap in a way. Like, I don't know. Like, I even don't really
It's
love
got
the
like the
black light
black.
sodas.
Yeah, it definitely has the black and like navy bluish look. Like that's definitely the NFT look.
Yeah, which all cans basically essentially are white, except for the couple blacklight ones with a banner color at the bottom. I just think
I
it's
think
gonna
it'll
look
look. Yeah,
very different.
I think it'll
But I
look
wonder what you think.
better than you think based off of the image, but I can see why you feel that way.
Yeah. Which I mean, I guess I could think that because even the boxes of the pops, like they came out pretty nice. So I would assume they're gonna come out good. But yeah, I mean, people are getting them. The prices are ridiculous right now. They're being sold for like $1,000 each. Like it's always gonna happen when the initial drop of something comes out. Obviously, people are super excited. They're very limited. We also know that these are technically more limited than they're saying on the sticker because not everyone redeemed them, not everyone opened up their packs. Like there's multiple reasons why not everyone has these, and it's just cool to see them now finally going out there. I wish Funko was a little bit more careful on the way they ship these things. Is they're
Yeah,
just
that's what I
shipping
was
them
about to
normal
say.
and in a
Yeah,
box. Like,
not cool. Like, and it's funny because, like I said earlier, I'm pretty like gone down the rabbit hole of being on like discords and like special groups like Reddits about all Funko NFTs. And in the beginning, word on the street was your box came damaged, they were gonna honor it no matter what. Like, unlike what Funko does, like most of the time they'll honor it for you, but you need to like really show them proof.
yeah,
Not that they weren't asking for proof, but now supposedly drop is going back to certain people like that little like dent in the box isn't worthy of us you sending a new one, which
wow,
like I would be devastated, like knock on wood. And But now people in like this Discord would be like, okay, everyone, just legitimately jump onto your box and send him that picture. So it's like now it's this like huge thing, but they're sending him in those like crappy sorters that Funko has now made.
Yeah.
They don't work.
It's
there's
weird.
no protection.
Yeah. It's a weird thing that you would think they know these are special and they're limited, that they would send them in a better some way, shipped better, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. My first one's not going to be for a little while. It's like June or something when I could do mine for the Nickelodeon ones.
Yeah, you'll get it next year.
I got the Hey
probably.
Arnold. Yeah, so Christmas, hopefully I'll have a nice little Christmas gift. But I know you got yours coming soon, so that's going to be excited to see.
Yeah,
what those
so
look like.
I think at the end of this month is when technically they'll start getting, ready to send you your Halloween pop, but then it takes like then maybe a few, like another month for you to actually get it. Like it's the whole the whole process. Is weird. And like there's a lot of debate going on. Process. Is Funko actually destroying? Like they're saying they're destroying these pops. Like that's word on the street, which is interesting. I like that. So like
destroying, what do you mean?
So as we said, if they're not redeemed during this period,
if they're not redeemed,
like obviously they made these pops already, you would think, based off of even how we're just saying with the that F1 pops, like they're being made, they have to have them already. And they have come out and said, at least in the official drop like Discord channel that's run by like people who work for the company, that they will be destroying the pops. So it's truly that number, which
that's
I
cool,
think is
and I'm down with that. I just wish they restickered them.
I know
that was the case.
It's so funny because people are making like new stickers to put on them, or like they're putting them on like the hard stacks or like the armors, which they're pretty cool. But yeah, that I agree. I wish they did that, but that's probably way too much work for them because they've already been made. But it's crazy though to see, like, I don't know why anyone would do this, but the amount of people who like don't redeem them. And I know we've heard some horror stories about like people have been locked out of their account, but like some people like just for the thrill of it, like want to burn them. So like there's less, like, because some people may have pulled like 3 of them and they're like, oh, well, I'd rather make the price go up and I'm going to burn my NFT, which means you legitimately digitally destroy the file. And so right off the bat, that's one physical one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that when I saw that people weren't redeeming them, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But obviously there's different circumstances, but if that's happening, that's a little nutty. But yeah, I mean, NFTs, that's a pretty it's going to be, now you're going to see these a lot because now we're getting all the waves are getting redeemed, and as we're getting new ones, it's just going to continue going forward. But I'm excited to see what the next like few waves are for sure, because I think it's getting into more popularity in the sense of like the NFTs are getting popular, but now the lines are getting bigger and broader. So we're getting more.
And let us know what you all want to see, like in the comments, like let us know what NFT drops you would like to see them make.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the celebration then. So Star Wars Celebration, I know, was officially announced. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm pretty like one of the pops is leaked, which like I may have an unpopular opinion on this one. I think it's awesome. I know some other people have said it's like super plain, but it's just the only one that's leaked so far. They actually seen images of Luke Skywalker from A New Hope with him in his iconic scene where he's kind of just like standing, like gazing out into the sunset. Like, as weird as this is, like they've never made a Luke Skywalker pop like this, which is crazy to me. As like a hardcore fan, like I think this pop's awesome. I know some people they think it's plain. But then besides that, there's been rumors, but like they're very vague. And like I'm reading some of the rumors we have right now. It just says pop, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Stormtrooper. There's like absolutely no description. So I'm like, what are these gonna be? But it's interesting that Luke Skywalker's in like a new box. It's completely different than anything that's been made for Star Wars. So part of me is like, is this going to be like a new line? Like, I wonder if all these pops are going to be from A New Hope, because
I wonder if it's that, or if the poster is that as well. So that's true. It could be that. The box thing could just be, I think it would be cooler if it was just a celebration type box.
That would be
like, obviously they're going to have a sticker, but if the box is only colored and designed for this wave would actually be kind of cool, because we've talked about Star Wars and the way that they switched boxes in the past, but they've done it like after a while they just redid a different color, and then now as of more recently they're all like white boxes essentially. And like if they do, if maybe they're all gonna now switch to that going forward, that could be one option. Or if it's just this wave, I think that'll actually be even cooler if it's like that box.
Yeah,
Because technically the like comic looking box, that's a different color box, but it
no,
was
you're
only
right.
for those.
Which is just so funny. Like I have to throw out this jab because I love how to this day Funko's like, oh, the boxes don't matter. Then why do you put so much effort and it's all these boxes playing to your market? But I just have to say that one. But then another one that it in this rumor list that I have is the Millennium Falcon with Lando, which I think is going to be pretty cool. But I'm wondering if it's going to be like legitimately the exact same pop they already made with Han Solo, and they're just going to drop Lando in it. Like, I don't know. Are you familiar with that pop, that though, like one that's huge?
Yeah. I wonder if they do
or
that,
if
or
it's
if it's
just going
just
to be
like
like
a
a normal
front
size ride.
Yeah, like the P's or something. Yeah, I don't know. That's
I want it to be the smaller one because I don't have room for the huge one and I need it.
yeah.
And then there's supposedly it says another Chewbacca pop. So we're getting like all these OG characters. So it leads me to believe are they just like new updated molds of them. We have Vader holding Luke pop cover. I'm not sure what that
pop
is.
cover.
Yeah, it says pop cover.
That's
so that's strange. It says we're getting a soda, doesn't say who. And then we've talked about this rumor in the past, and it clearly is Celebration. It says Luke Skywalker comic and Boba Fett comic. So they have done a really good job, in my opinion, of legitimately touching almost every line they make.
Yeah.
Like of me, like with.
Well, I wonder if. So the only thing on that list, because I think it's the same one I remember seeing, I wonder if the Luke and the Boba are the sodas. I think that's what that is. So I think it was like saying,
but
under.
You can already pre-order those. There's no way.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Because those came out first. That's true.
Yeah. There's these are all new stuff, I think.
Because they should have all dropped on the Celebration, like the 4 sodas.
Totally.
Like should have been part of that. They should have a sticker. Like imagine a sticker, a Star Wars Celebration sticker on a soda.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
They made a big,
like,
big mistake with that.
Yeah, especially being the first Star Wars soda, like putting it on there. Like I don't know.
I'm wondering if it'll be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Soda.
Maybe
like for
if they're sticking with like that line, if they're sticking with that, or if they go Mando, if they go, there's obviously a few options. But like, when do you think we're gonna actually get like official reveals of this stuff? Because obviously the one that leaked is the only one technically is the
I'm gonna go with we're not gonna get official reveals until like the week before the event, and I'm trying to remember the exact day. I'm just gonna pull it up real quick. Yeah, it's May 26th. So I don't think we'll get it until really close to that.
Wow. Yeah, so it's still a while.
I'm assuming it's just funny though. I'm reading this list too, and like I'm hoping it's correct. Normally when we get this info, it's normally correct. But so that's the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show is coming out the day before Celebration. There's gotta be like in my opinion, there should be a Star Wars Celebration pop for that show. Like a special limited.
I mean, we're obviously gonna get a wave.
We're totally gonna get a wave,
no matter what.
But it's just like it would make sense.
May the 4th, maybe for like May the 4th time or whatever, they'll just announce and drop like the Obi-Wan pops or whatever wave is coming out without being spoilers, obviously, like whatever we know as far as like trailer. Maybe we'll get another trailer so we'll know more character wise and stuff. So that's obviously going to be something. And we already kind of are hinted towards a lot of characters coming out in this show from animated series and things like that, which I think are going to be huge in like transitioning to pops and things like that. So it's gonna be interesting.
The soda could be Yoda, because we've heard rumors about that, and that has not been announced.
That's true. Yes.
Also, I feel like a Chewbacca soda makes total sense. Chase will be flocked.
Yeah, I mean that one makes sense, and they should totally do that. Like that. That's why I thought the most obvious ones were Vader and Chewbacca, if anything, and maybe a Stormtrooper. Like those were like the ones that I was like, they have to make these in a soda. Like they just the form of
Yep.
them, like they just fit into a soda. They don't have to be too, moving around too much. So like that just makes the most sense. But that's obviously that's just Star Wars Celebration rumor stuff as of right now. Besides the one leak that obviously I'm sure more stuff will leak.
I think we'll get
even
more
sooner.
leaks. Yeah. But what do you think pop cover means? Or do you think it's
I don't
just
know,
like
unless it's like
weird
movie. Well, because they have maybe this is a mistype or typo or something.
Yeah.
Because they also have the New Hope
movie
poster, right? Is on
Yep.
there. I don't know, unless there's one that's a VHS cover. I don't know. Maybe it was just a mistake. Obviously, like we see these
Which
things
could
just
be. Yeah.
this is just text that we're getting on like an actual post, so it could be completely a mistake or something. But along the lines of Star Wars, I did want to bring this up. We do have another die cast that officially, and this is actually gonna be the very first die cast with a chase, and it is Boba Fett. So Star Wars diecast now exists and it's real. We
Yep.
rumored this. We talked about this. We potentially said this would be awesome. It's probably something that will happen. And now we have officially. There's also been rumors that we've talked about multiple times of Darth Vader one, of who else? Mandalorian maybe. I know there's been a couple that we've announced in the Star Wars.
I think those are the only two Star Wars. The other ones are Marvel.
Star
There was
Wars.
a Black
Marvel
Panther
ones,
one and Cap in the Falcon
yeah.
version. The
Yeah.
one thing though that I doubt now definitely have decided is whoever is in charge of like the Star Wars product, Boba Fett's their favorite character.
Yeah.
First soda, first diecast. Like, I'm sorry, I love Boba Fett. Darth Vader should be the first diecast.
Yeah, it's so crazy. That's the same thing I thought, because when I saw those rumors, I was like, all right, that makes sense. I get it. They're popular, but I still think that Darth Vader should be the first one. He should be the most popular. And when you think about die casts, like in my eyes, I think of like the black that the Batman in black looks so good on die cast that I'm like, Darth Vader is gonna look amazing as a die cast. He's also like he's wearing a helmet, like he's wearing stuff that could be die cast.
Not the Boba Fett one is perfect.
And obviously Boba Fett has, of course, but I would have wanted a Mandalorian before Boba Fett, to be honest. I think that would make more, it's like we talked about how huge Mandalorian made Star Wars in the sense of like,
which I'm assuming we'll
regular fans. I'm sure there's going to be one. But what do you think about the chase? Whole thing with the chase?
I don't like that they're doing a chase. Like I've thought long and hard about this. I get they're a business, but like I don't think this product should have a chase. That's all. I'm just saying that. Like I really think
I just wonder, like are people really gonna go hard after to get into like I'm just gonna get one like I normally do, and if it's the chase, all right, cool. I actually like the common better. I don't hate the chase, but I like the common better. Like I like the color.
Me too. And like I'm curious what the resale value of this one will be, just because like man, if I was like I wouldn't say no to a chase, but like I like the common better too. But like I feel like people are just gonna go nuts over the chase just because that's what people do. It's like they just
the chase. It's more limited. It's the one. Yeah, it's got
and like
does it have a sticker? Does it have a chase sticker on it? I don't know if I ever seen.
I don't think it does. I mean, maybe it does. And they're just not showing in the box art. But like, I didn't think of this when I first saw the chase. But like, people have been ripping it online, being like, "That's the diecast pop without a paint job." It's basically like a prototype.
Yeah,
it works for Mandalorian. I mean, for Boba Fett, but like for the Mandalorian armor.
But that's why I thought of it being that. I thought that that's what it was. Is like a prototype. Like, and we've already seen a lot of Star Wars prototypes made into Funko Pop. So like, to me, I was like, well, I guess that's probably what they were going with. Versus like in the picture, it looked awful. Like you don't know what the hell, like the picture. But then we did see some glam shots of an actual shot of it. And it looks like more of like a rusted metal look. And that's like what it looks like, which it looked cooler in there than it looked in the picture. And the picture was just like a silver blame, like it looked weird.
It does,
but yeah, I don't know. I think I guess because it's metal and they're just trying to make it like.
I get why they're
I think
doing
it's
it.
prototype. That's the way I looked at it. Like it's
Yeah,
just a
me too.
prototype. Prototype chase, I guess is what they should call it.
I'm definitely a huge fan. We've talked about this line before, and like in my opinion, if you've been on the fence for this line and like you're a Star Wars fan, you gotta buy this, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
this is, I actually do think this is one of the, I mean, quality control. I've noticed like my Wonder Woman, they have like a little mark on the, the face, but like just is what it is. I get the paint jobs, but like I do think these are pretty high quality and like they put a lot of effort into them. They're not really like, when I first heard about them, I thought it was a gimmick, which I've said before. These are awesome, and I love the case they come in.
Yeah,
Like they're
I
they're
agree.
they're just badass. Like, and they're perfect. Like you obviously take these out of the box and you display them, but they're still in a box. Like they're just
Mhm.
cool. Like I like love this line.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have all of them that exist right now, and I definitely want this one. I'm just like wondering when is this gonna drop? Like, it keeps rumors that keep coming out, like it's gonna come out of nowhere. So I'm just like wondering if it's gonna be one of those blind drops again, and
I'm sure it
hope
will
to,
be.
just hope to get it. But let us know your thoughts of it. Boba Fett, should Darth Vader have been first, or Mando, one of those? And if so, what do you guys think about the whole chase aspect? And like, does this now open up the idea that they're going to do more diecast with chase? Is that just mean the diecast line is going to get even crazier than we originally thought it was going to be
What's
already?
your opinion on like not this chase, but just the chase for a diecast?
I don't think we need it. Like, I'm like, whatever. It's like it's if it's a cool looking one, I guess it's a cool idea, like, to have that. I just don't think it's necessary. Like, I think the diecast itself was already making it like a special
Yep.
thing. It's already different. It's special. Like, you don't necessarily need to do another version of it. Like, just make a new character instead. Like, that's my thought on it. But I mean, yeah, like, I'm not gonna get two of them like I do with sodas. Like, I'm just gonna get one,
Yeah.
and then just hope for the best or whatever one I get. With pops, I usually don't pull the chase when there's a chase option anyway. So I guess we'll see what
I
happens
know.
with this one. I'm just hoping to get it either way, and hopefully, I think it'll be pretty popular. I mean, the diecast has been generally popular. The Wonder Woman was probably the one that didn't sell out as fast. Iron Man just recently now, actually, I don't know if you saw, was restocked,
I did.
and they're allowing you to buy like a ton. So they clearly made a bunch of those. So I don't know. It's interesting
I
that
think this
they're
is going to
doing that.
sell out immediately, but if I'm to predict the past patterns, don't have FOMO, they're going to restock it. Like if you want it, you should try to get it immediately.
Every diecast has restocked at least one.
Yes, they have. So
Everyone.
don't go immediately on, Whatnot or eBay and, pay double the
Yeah,
price
don't
for
do
it.
the resale. Yeah. Go crazy and try to buy it right away on Funko. And if you can't get it, yeah, just wait. There'll be, I mean, everyone as of now has, and I would assume with this, especially with the chase and stuff, they're gonna restock it and come back with more.
Yeah.
But look out for it either way. Another thing, just real quick, that, and speaking of like beating a dead horse here, we got more blacklight pops. um, we got another wave of Marvel, which is being like just expanded upon. We got a Wasp, Shuri, and a Valkyrie, which is her on the horse, Pegasus horse thing.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. And what's crazy is that, like, in the beginning, when Blacklight came, I love Blacklight, and when it came out, we had those original, like, four that came out, Iron Man and Captain America and stuff, and they were cool. It was more like a comic style, like
Just about to
very
bring that up.
traditional looking one. And then they slowly started doing a bunch of different lines. And now when they come with Marvel, they've been basically just taking the most recent MCU pop and they're just making it into Blacklight. And that's literally what they're doing now. They did it with the last previous wave with like the What If pops
Yep.
and the Wanda pop and all that. And now they're doing it with more Marvel. I don't know. We haven't seen pictures of them, so who knows what they're gonna look like. But
I'm
they're
not a
essentially
fan.
just making they're making every pop over again in a Blacklight now.
Which I mean, people were going crazy over them. People are obviously buying them. I don't like that though. They've done the mixing and the matching, like eventually maybe, but why start off with like four original comic characters and just like call it a day and then like move on to like random MCU characters? Like I've said before, like, I love What If, but there's so many other characters you could have made into Blacklight Pops from Marvel before you made those. But it's just like you said, they had the mold sitting there. They just made them because they're new pops. So they're like, okay, let's just make a Blacklight version too. That's what it has to be. It's why we're getting all the newer ones in there. They did a stopgap with the OG characters.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously know they're doing it for money, of course. But like, what would be cool is if you already have this in mind, because you're clearly doing this nonstop, is drop the regular pop and have the chase be Blacklight. Like, if you're gonna keep the mold and just really change it up like that, like do that. Make it more exciting, make it more like a thing that you try to go after, and make it more limited rather than just like a mass produced repaint job essentially, and just make it Blacklight. I don't know. It sucks because I love the Blacklight. I love the way they look. I love how they light up, and I generally get them. Majority of the ones I try to have, but like now I'm like I even the last wave before I didn't pre-order or pick up any of those. If I see one in a store, like I'll grab it, or if I see one, you know, being sold somewhere or whatever that I can grab for normal retail price, I'll try to grab one. But I'm not like the first four. I went to Target. It was on Father's Day actually when they dropped originally, and I went to Target that morning, waited outside in line to try to get them, and they sold out before I got in there. But like that's how much I wanted those. So like now I'm not getting that same like feeling for some of these. I don't know.
Did you get the 4-pack?
Doing that. No, so I ended up canceling that order. I know a lot of people's were actually canceled, but I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know, look at the finances and looking at things, and I was like, I went through some of my pre-orders, and I was like, do I really need some of this stuff? And that was one of the ones that I was like, you know what, I have the original 4. I don't need the 4-pack. It's literally a repurpose, just threw it into one box, and I just canceled it. Did you get it?
I did get it, but I don't have the original ones. So
okay, yeah, well, that's fine.
It's crazy though. I saw someone, I think it was on TikTok, and he's like, oh, I got this 4-pack. I have the original 4. I'm getting rid of the original 4 just to keep the 4-pack, which I thought was nuts.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I would prefer the 4 singles than the 4-pack, but in your case, you haven't gotten them, and they're probably not as easy to grab the 4-pack, whatever. But
exactly,
I mean, especially if you're out of box collector, you're gonna put them in a, like I've seen a lot of people do displays of these baseball bats with the black lights and put a light strip. Then it doesn't matter if you get the 4-pack, take them out, put them in there.
You wouldn't even know.
It's cool. But you wouldn't even, but to like choose those over, I don't know. That's a little weird. Anything else kind of big that?
I think that's like most of the big stuff. I mean, which was
there was obviously some more stuff. It was we've been talking for a while. There's been a ton of stuff. That was the biggest stuff. I mean, we obviously have some more rumors and things that we'll continue to talk about going forward. But the most exciting stuff for sure was, you know, a lot of the Star Wars news, the Walmart news, the NFT stuff. You know, for sure those are like the big things that hit up. Again, this was, you know, a couple weeks in the making because we've been gone for a little bit. But you know, let us know down below your comments what you guys think about some of these topics that we talked about. We're pretty excited for what's to come with the NFTs and everything. And you know, Charlie's been pretty good on dropping some videos for you guys here on the channel of him opening up some of his packs. So I'm sure we'll get one.
We'll get a Scooby-Doo one.
Of the Scooby-Doo ones that are you know, out now. So make sure to definitely check us out on Instagram as well at Collector Chatter. Please send us messages, let us know what you guys want to hear. We do have a couple more topics lined up. We figured today, because there was so much news and we've bbeen gone for a while, we'll just throw out, you know, a lot of talk around just stuff that's dropping and our thoughts on it in general. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We hit, I think, 130 subscribers finally. So we're like on our way little by little, but we appreciate every single one of you guys. We know we have a lot of listeners, especially the ones that don't watch, but mostly just listen on you know, Spotify and Apple and stuff. You guys, we really appreciate you for giving us the listens as well. But that's going to be it from me. Anything else from you, Trey?
Yeah, just, you know, make sure you continue to give us those comments. We love reading them, and you definitely give us good ideas, and just keep doing it. Like the video, and like I said, just if you could share this, you know, with your friends and family, we really do appreciate all of, you know, our loyal listeners. But we want to get this out to, you know, some more people. So if you could just make sure you subscribe to our channel too, and like if you're listening to the podcast and you don't really come to our YouTube, just come over and check it out. Still listen to us on our podcast, but it would be helpful just to get more people to find us on YouTube. But besides that, just, thank you for all the support. We really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a great week. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.